Oh, man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is. Tuesday. Brewsday Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah! It's Brewsday Tuesday time with DreZ and Huck.
It is Brewsday Tuesday time. My name is DreZ, and as always, alongside me is Mr. Huck from HucksBeerBuzz.com. How you feeling today, Huckster?
You know, I'm always feeling good. But today, I'm feeling extra good because you brought the beer.
I would say you're getting one of your favorite beers.
Right, free.
Even before you know what it is.
It doesn't matter because I didn't pay for it.
Well, I tell you what, this might end up being one of your favorite beers. Yes, I did bring the beer this week. I actually had it last week, but we did the Memorial Day theme thing, so I kept it on ice, kept it cold for us because, like I said, for Memorial Day, I went up to Kentucky for my brother's bachelor party. It was my, we wanted to do a little bachelor party thing. We did the Bourbon Barrel Ale, big bourbon guy. And one of the places we went is Town Branch, where they do bourbon as well as brew beer. And that's where you get Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. And I saw you already took a sip. What do you think, man?
Nice. And I just want to say, you said this could be one of your favorite beers. Per our earlier conversation a month or so ago, I'm a beer whore, and a lot of beers are my favorite beers. So that's not even a high bar, right? You said I give more fives than,
You do give out a lot of fives. She's like, no, I don't.
McDonald's gives out fries. That's what you said. Something like that. I don't know exactly what it was. But it's very similar to that because I do give out a lot of fives. But
yes, but I
thinking this could be headed for one. But let me take another sip or two.
Yeah, I did pour it in my bourbon barrel glass, which is pretty sweet. I saw you were looking envious of it.
Yeah, I know you've been kind to me in the past. I'm not going to complain, but gosh, I am feeling a little left out.
I mean, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't even think to get you one. But
no, the truth is, I collect pint glasses.
So you wouldn't have wanted
this.
No,
if it's not shaped like a pint glass, and I know, and we're going to have. I was thinking about it on the way over here today. Is we're gonna have a glassware day.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I know. I'm gonna bring you some glasses that were given to me. So I'm gonna pass it on. I'm gonna give you a set of glasses.
Oh, you don't have to.
And I'm gonna bring a beer to taste each one in, and we're gonna have a glass day. The beers won't be as important that day.
Will the beers match the?
Yeah,
name
I'm gonna match
glass?
the beer. No, the beers will match the style of the glass. There's a glass for each.
Oh, like a
type
Pilsner.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
That being said, I'll go right back to pint glasses after we do that.
Well, what do you call this? This matches the glass.
That's a barrel. That's not even a glass.
It's a glass shaped like a. But that's the thing. Okay, so this is Bourbon Barrel Ale. So when I was going around doing all these bourbon tours, I went to Woodford Reserve, I went to Wild Turkey, I went to Buffalo Trace, I went to Evan Williams, I went to Jim Beam. I mean, dude, we did 10 distilleries in 3 days, 3, 4, 3. It was quite the weekend, but. So I don't know if you know. Actually, you do know about bourbon. I know you like Woodford Reserve. You know a thing or two about bourbon. So what they do is,
and beer.
You take your hooch. You got your distill. You got your White Lightning. You put it in a barrel, and then you have to let it soak in that barrel for X amount of years. What is it like? I think a minimum of 4.
4? Yeah,
I think it's a minimum of 4.
I don't know for sure, but I think 4.
That's the difference. By the way, the difference between whiskey and bourbon. Bourbon is whiskey. Whiskey is not always bourbon.
All bourbon is whiskey.
Correct.
Not all whiskey is bourbon.
Yeah, you can make the hooch and just throw in some color dye to it, and that could be whiskey.
And there's some, and I had an argument with somebody, I don't know if it was you, about that if it doesn't come from Bourbon County, Kentucky, it can't be called bourbon. It has to be called Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
I don't know if that was with me or not, but I can tell you that bourbon does not have to come from Kentucky. But I can tell you that 90% of the bourbon out there is from Kentucky.
There's got to be a reason for that.
So there is some, like I know that, for instance, 10 Cup, that's out of Colorado. Great bourbon, by the way. I love that stuff.
Good movie.
But what makes it a bourbon, there's, I think, 3 or 4 criteria. Kevin Costner. It has to have at least 51% corn. It has to... Corn. It has to be distilled in an oak barrel.
As opposed to poplar.
Whatever other barrels, whatever. It has to be distilled or it has to be soaking in that barrel for at least 4 years.
I don't know.
And I feel like there was a 4th one that I'm probably forgetting. But long story short, they can only brew they can only use these barrels once for bourbon. So what happens after that is they sell them to a lot of people that like to make bourbon barrel sauce. They like to make bourbon flavored Tabasco. They can do wine. They can do this. They can do that. And in this case, beer. Exactly. So these guys at Alltech is the main brand. They buy them up. Or actually, these guys are the ones that make Town
they're making
Branch.
the bourbon,
so they're using that, but they also
they
don't make enough. They don't make enough bourbon, unfortunately, to house the need for the bourbon barrel ale. So they do outsource it from other people like Maker's Mark and whatever. But they brew the beer and then they soak it in the barrel for about 6 to 8 weeks, so that the beer will soak up some of the devil's cut, as they call it. You've probably seen the commercials from Jim Beam about the devil's cut. They get soaked into the barrel. Well, it squeezes out into the beer, making this Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. It jacks it up from, I think, what would be a 6% brew or ABV to, I'm trying to see.
Okay, I have some new information here.
I'm trying to see what the ABV on this is. I don't see it labeled, but I want to say it's at least 8 or 9. What you got?
I have it up. I think I have it up.
What you got for me?
No, I don't. But I have some new information.
We got new developments.
Okay, so
and the beer
bourbon. Okay, bourbon does not have to be aged any specific duration, but you can 3 months minimum sold as bourbon. But the exception is straight bourbon.
Where are you getting that from?
Wikipedia.
I'm calling BS on that, dude.
Hey, wait, straight bourbon, which is straight Kentucky straight bourbon. I was telling that earlier. It's got to be 2 years. That's why I thought 2 years minimum. But to be really called straight bourbon, it has to be 4 years.
Yeah,
so 4 years is right for good shit.
4 years.
That's bad.
I dumped it. It's okay. That's your first one. I'm surprised we made it almost half a year. Half a year.
We did.
But yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah, bourbon 4 years. If it's not, then it's not bourbon. It's not.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, it looks like you gotta age it right, or it's not gonna be counted. But you can't make bourbon in other countries. You can make it in America, but you can't make it in Canada, for example. Not that they would. They're probably making rye whiskey up there.
Yeah, of course, the rye.
I'm trying to find that APV for you.
Yeah, that's what I was about to pull. All right, well, I'll let you do that, and I'll keep BS and tell the story. So we go to Town Branch that also does the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, which I've already had a pint glass from there. That's why I bought this fancy one. And they did have some sweet freaking growlers, dude. They had stainless steel growlers, nice. One of which was shaped like a keg, which was really cool, but they wanted $55 for it. It wasn't insulated, and they couldn't fill it up on spot. So...
Well, that's about right. $55 for the metal ones. I have a couple of those.
Yeah, I wanted to get one, dude, but then they were like, "Oh, you can't fill it up here. You'd have to take somewhere else to get it filled." And I'm like, "Blah blah blah." I was like, "I'll just buy the bottles."
8+%. 8.
They just say 8+. So yeah, it gets a little bit more from the bourbon barrel. But then once they have the beer in there for 6 to 8 weeks, soak it in all that, turning it into the bourbon barrel ale, then they're done with the barrel. They only do that once, just like when you're making bourbon.
And they had to go through a lot of trouble. Like, the guy Jim Cook from Samuel Adams he got it done, but for the ATF to allow him to age beer in bourbon barrels, there's some controversy whether or not he got it done or not. But in any case, he started doing it early. He was an early adopter, and a lot of people do it. But yeah, you can only use them once for each thing. But I think you can, I wonder if you could do like bourbon, and then beer, and then maybe wine, and then throw some tequila in there. Just keep going. Pretty soon, it's like we got some MD 2020. We've been aging in this bourbon wine tequila barrel.
It's good to do something, but I mean,
I could sell that.
Another thing is, man, you can buy these barrels once they've been, once they've done the bourbon thing. I think you can buy them for like $100 or something.
Less than that, really, if you look around.
I mean, it depends. Although bourbon's it's a little hot. But either way, man, you can get them and then just sweat them and get like upwards of a gallon out yourself.
Well, now we're talking.
And that's like all devil's cut.
But I could get a liquor store and buy a gallon for $55.
But
I didn't have to sweat it.
Yeah, but
yeah,
guess what?
Could have been good bourbon.
It's a little different. Yeah, it depends on what
you could make it into a planter.
Yeah, you can do all
build
kinds of
a bar
stuff.
out of it. My daughter had a couch made out of bourbon barrels.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. But it was a fun weekend. It really was. And this is definitely a brew that I already knew going out. Like I bought these. This is the kind of stuff that comes in a 4-pack, unfortunately. And I bought one of those like right off the
does.
gate, and then I got more later. But
No, it's good. It's tasty.
it's really good. Hey, you said you'd never had this before?
No, I have
find
had
that hard
this
to
one.
believe.
I have had this
Yeah.
one.
The one that I have next, though,
I mean,
I'm guessing probably
I
not.
hope
We will
not.
see.
It's hard.
Either
I thought
way-
I hadn't had that the beer from last week, and I'd had one of those.
Yeah. So
pretty
you
sure
lose
I have.
track. You lose track. But what are you thinking of Kentucky's double bourbon ale?
I'm liking this. Did you want me to give you an Excel score? I'm looking at it.
Let's untap it, man.
It's nicely filtered. It's got little tiny bubbles, almost like it wishes it was nitrogen.
It almost does. It's almost
It does,
smooth.
and
It's almost smooth enough to be.
And the head on it is like just so nice, lacing. The aroma is good.
Oh, the
know?
aroma's so good.
It's bourbon. How can it not be good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to 4.25 on this bad boy.
4.25.
Yeah, feeling good about
I
it.
think it's an easy 4.25. Of course, we're referring to our Untapped scores. If you hop on to your app store or whatever, you can download it for free. Untapped. DreZ Drinks is my head on there. Huck's Beer Buzz is his. You can give it a score. You can give it a rating. Your rating or whatever. You can leave comments and all that good stuff. It's a social media kind of thing as well. And dude, for Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, it's everything that I love in a glass, man. It's an ale, a well-produced ale, by the way, and then it's got those beautiful, beautiful barrel notes from a Kentucky-made bourbon barrel. It tastes so good. It's got the high ABV.
See, you're going high on this one.
I
can smell it from
You
here.
know what's going up there, man. And being there, it was just so cool. The experience and everything. I don't give out fives very often.
No, you don't. Not like me.
And this one is not going to get a 5. It's going to get a 4.75.
That's good.
And the only reason why I'm not giving it a 5 is because I feel like the next one's even better. So I got to leave a little wiggle room. I got to leave a little wiggle room.
I've judged a lot of things in my life. Cakes for like the home ec class, which is not as good as it sounds. Some of these cakes weren't that good. I'm just going to say. I've judged a lot of beer. I used to judge like Odyssey of the Mind, these kids things.
Oh, yeah. I remember that crap.
Yeah, all that stuff. I used to judge that stuff, and it's like, you know what? You got to always start in the middle. Oh, the blues contest. I finally quit judging the blues contest because that's too hard. So I was a scorekeeper. So I wrote these spreadsheets. So when all the bands finished, So if you ever go to a blues contest and they're going like, we're waiting for the results. No, the results took me 0.83 seconds. Okay, all I do is put the numbers in and the spreadsheet does. But they always want to talk. Those guys.
Yeah. Kind of like you.
Yeah. And you. I think you talk for a living.
Man.
I just talk for fun. I'm an amateur.
Yeah.
Amateur talker.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about brews after this. I have the next one. Like
I'm
I said,
just drinking this while you talk.
Yeah, you can, man. Go
Stop
for
talking
it.
for a minute.
The next one I think might even one up this one. Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, delicious. And this is Alltech, man. Good stuff. We'll take a quick break, play tune, and we'll be back. Round 2, Brewsday Tuesday. After this, stick around.